Hey guys, just wanted to check in with you and I know I've been kind of out of the loop here. Um, one, I've been dealing with some personal issues. I'm going through a detox with my new nutritionist, and so that's been a whole taxing issue for me. And or with everything going on in the world, yeah. So I just got really inspired to just hop on here and talk about perfectionism and it, is it okay to be an imperfect leader? And I've kind of been absent from here because I didn't know how to show up perfectly. And I'm a recovering perfectionist. And part of the backstory for me there is um, my adrenal fatigue, I think, was a systemic thing that because of the years of perfectionism that I have been living in, you know, with everything that was going on in my life as a single mom for about 8 years of my 19-year career, or maybe 10, maybe 10 years. I mean, I was dating for 2 of those years, so I had help, but we weren't married. Um, anyway, so today there's a software system that I bought into called Influencer Soft, and one of the CEO of the group, I guess there was some kind of issue that happened, and people were putting him on blast in other groups, and so he kind of had to do damage control in our group. And I'm like, I've been out of the loop. I mean, I've been working on my opt-in, for the time wheel, like in the back end, but mostly in Canva because I've been trying to make it perfect and trying to like I'm a feeler. So if you're Myers-Briggs, I am an ENFP/J. I'm mostly J because of my corporate life. Before I got into in the refinery, I was mostly P. And then as I started to get like it's a very systematic, right? There's safety and protocols and aka lots of red tape, even change management. We have a whole website and a whole thing on even if we want to change one little thing. So say you, oh, I'm in the living room, so there's my TV. Say I wanted to switch out a part from my TV, I want to do an upgrade. There's this whole chain and process that has to happen in order for me to swap out a part. If you do a replacement in kind, meaning I have an 8-inch battery to an 8-inch battery, I don't know TV parts, then I don't need any paperwork. But if I want to upgrade, go from an 8-inch battery to a 10-inch battery, or even changing if it's the same size, let's say, I'm off topic, but if you want to go from an 8-inch old school to 8-inch lithium, you have to go through the whole change management process. Anyway, um, that's just me going more P to J. But let's talk about perfectionism and being imperfect, right? So I guess it was a small security breach that happened there, and he had to do some damage control. And it was pretty much it felt intuitively to me that people were just hating on Jesse because he was putting out a software. And one of my friends is a web developer. She's like, dang it, I wish I had that idea. Because it's pretty much taking the best of all the different softwares like Kajabi, um, um, Infusionsoft, and just taking all the good pieces from all these other softwares, and even social media management and stuff. So it links, it's a software that links your social media, so your funnel all the way from social media all the way through. There's even chatbots in there, and then all the way through to the other side, um, till you get the client. So it's a one and done complete software that he's built from the ground up. And he has a marketing agency, right? And he was using all these different softwares, and he decided to make his own. But they're just haters. And he messaged me and he's like, "No, this is this whole thing um, that's happening, and it's just unfortunate." And I was like, "Yeah, with all the hate that's already going on in the world, why are you trying to bring someone else down? Like, really? Like, is there not enough hate already happening in the world?" Which I'm not choosing sides. I'm just gonna say stay politically neutral for this whole on the purposes of this live. But yeah, um, and to the people in my black community, I've reached out personally to them and had conversations with them, and just making sure that they're okay. Like, but that's private. So um, anyway, I cooked dinner. So that's another thing. I cooked dinner, and I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. You know, um, I don't know. I cooked it, and I was like, I defrosted the meat out of the freezer, but it was still kind of frozen. I was like, oh, let me just cook it, but it was beef, not chicken, and it was just. So if you're Filipino, a dinagoan is it's when you cook with like the blood of the meat, and I was like, why is my fajita meat looking like dinaguan? And I was just like, oh, this is just nasty because I don't eat the stuff. I've seen other people eat it, and I'm like, this is looking like that, and I'm like, ugh. And I was kind of behind schedule cooking. Like, I totally forgot to defrost the meat uh, last night and have it thawed out and whatever, and it just wasn't happening. My husband has to leave for work, and then so I was trying to rush and trying to cook. Anyway, all of that to say, if it was like a perfect meal, like I would have like posted it on Instagram. But honestly, I'm just gonna throw it away. And I was kind of like down on myself because um, the way that it is now, um, when my husband works the night shift, he works overnight, so he doesn't come home until the morning. And there's not a lot to eat, and he works in the refineries, it's a secured facility, and all of that. So it's not like he can go out to buy dinner. So by me messing up the dinner means that I had to make him a peanut butter sandwich instead of giving him like a real meal, and tapping into like 2 days ago leftovers and packing that because we still had some of that left over, and I said, that's all I got. That's all I got. And so he just took it, and then he was looking at me like, don't worry. And um, so like I was just being really hard on myself and saying like, oh my god, I screwed up the dinner. And he's like, don't worry about it. He's like, I'll eat. I have food. Like, I'm good. And he's like, even if I don't eat, I'll be fine. But right, so what I want to start talking about in here is right, leadership and showing up imperfectly. And I've been trying to. So Linda, she's in our group, right? She has a content planning strategy course and membership, and I'm in there, and I'm trying to get all of my whatchamacallit, my content and everything planned out and have it all make sense. And it's like, what am I doing? How am I showing up as a leader if I don't want to show up imperfectly? That's kind of teaching everyone in here that you have to be perfect in order to show up and lead. Which is not what I want to promote, like, at all. So here's me doing it imperfectly. The lighting sucks. Like, my glasses got stuck in my hair, so like my hair is all like, it's all coming out. And yeah. And you know what? So with everything that's happening right now, right, my husband works for the company that I came from, and they're having diversity and inclusion classes and things. And one of my really good friends, she's a black woman. She's part of that committee, and she's leading these talks and whatever, and like she and I talked offline too. That's one of my friends I was talking about. Um, that we were I'm having these discussions with my friends offline. And so just what I wanted to share was, one, you can still be imperfect and show up as a leader, and I'm leading by example now. And then also, like, this is the flip side. Are we judging leaders? I mean, I want to stay politically neutral, but I know everyone has, either has this love-hate relationship with Donald Trump, and right, thumbs up, thumbs down, as you will, but he's still technically the leader. And like, when we are working in a company, yes, we as leaders, we may not be tweeting on our feed as like irresponsibly as he is, but still, right? The company that I worked in was a very large Fortune 500 company, and right, the CEO had to send out all of these communications, and it had to be politically correct, and making sure like everything, like all the T's and I's and stuff were crossed, and making sure we don't offend anyone. And even when when he sends out communications like company wide, it's very I don't know, just very boxy, like in a box. Like you have to, like, when the corporate speak, right? The corporate, and I'm using whitewashing as like whitewashing offense and Tom Sawyer. Oh God, like it's so weird. Like there's so many of these things that I'm saying, and it feels like I'm just using all of these like racially charged terms, which is not my intention at all. Um, but it just feels very, let's say, just corporate washed. Then, right? All the communications and the real conversations happen at the copy machine or at the water cooler, wherever you congregate. And all of that to say, like, the thing that I wanted to talk about this week that I didn't, because I usually go live on Tuesdays and it was Blackout Tuesday. So I was like, I'll just go live again next week. But I really wanted to touch upon the speed of trust and leadership, and imperfect leadership, and how do we show up. So speed of trust is it's a Franklin Covey training that we had in corporate. And my friend here, the one I was talking about earlier, the one that does the diversity and inclusion training, she's also the leadership trainer for the company I was with. And so she was giving this change management course called The Speed of Trust. We were going through a lot of transition at the time. The parent company wasn't sure if they were going to sell us, or they were going to convert us into, instead of a refinery, into just a tank farm or just a terminal where we import the gasoline, or there's different products besides gasoline in a refinery, but we import the products and just sell them. And so what I wanted to talk about is part of the speed of trust is showing up imperfectly, right? There's a couple different aspects in the whole speed of trust training, but the one I wanted to talk about right now is, do you trust imperfect leadership, or do you only follow a leader because they are perfect, right? There's two sides to every coin. I am that person who will not trust a leader who doesn't show the dirty laundry. It's like, you can't always be this perfect. There's something fishy going on here, and then there's something that you're hiding. There's something doesn't smell right, because I can't see your dirty laundry. So that's where I land on that. Because I'm an open book. Like, if you want to know anything, like, I really don't shy away from saying anything if you want to know anything. But then there's the other side of the coin, like, well, I can't trust you because you failed, right? You're showing me all your cards, you're showing me your dirty laundry. Like, like, do you expect when you go to a leader's home, or like say if you're in a corporation, say you go to the CEO's house, and you're like, oh my God, you live like a filthy pig. How can I trust you? How can I, like does your level of respect go down for a person because they are imperfect? Or does it go up because they are showing you their imperfection and you love them even more? So that's all I wanted to talk about today. And just let me know if you have any questions. I'm moving my official Speed of Trust training to next week Tuesday. Like my Tuesday live thing, unless something else happens in the world. But yeah. And because the other thing I want to touch on also with the Speed of Trust is the underlying, I guess the tagline for Speed of Trust would be, change only happens as fast as the speed of trust. And, since this thing is, it's what's going on right now, and the only way that change can happen in our country, I know there's people in other countries that are in this group, but in the United States, the only way change can happen, or even if we're going to address the real root of racism, it has to start with trust. And that's what's lacking, right? That's why you're seeing the rioting, you're seeing the looting, is because both sides don't trust each other. And yes, do they deserve to be trusted? Do cops deserve to be trusted? I mean, I have family in law enforcement, so they're family, and I trust them to take care of me. Like, if I was George Floyd, I know that they would come and rescue me. Like, if they're a law enforcement person and they saw me on the ground, they would come and rescue me so there's a level of trust there because I know them. But, so all of that goes back to change can only happen as fast as the speed of trust. And I've worked for different online influencers, and you can see it, like, whether it's a big company or a small company, or even if you are a solopreneur and you're thinking about investing in a virtual assistant. It's like, do I even want to invest in a virtual assistant? And so the underlying factor behind all of those decisions is trust, right? You're not going to hire a VA because you don't trust that they will do it exactly the way that you want. And look, right? So let's say, like, you have an overseas VA that does it, like, say Fiverr, right? You hire somebody on Fiverr. Like, can you really trust someone who's doing your work for $5, right? Or if you hire someone who you're paying $1,000 to build your website, how much do you have a different level of trust? And right, we show trust with our dollars. And I mean, I'm not gonna. This is not about racism. This is about how we hire people. I mean, maybe there's a parallel there, but do I trust the person that I'm going to be paying money to get the work done, right? So the speed of trust. Your business can only grow as fast as the speed of trust, right? As much trust as you develop, is how fast your company can grow. Whether the trust lies with you, right? Are you giving trust? And the other part is, are they trustworthy? Like, do they even deserve our trust? I know a lot of you came in through Stacy Brookman and, like the whole narcissistic relationship thing. And right, we've been burned. Our trust is very little. And so if we don't trust a lot of people, it's hard for us to delegate, hard for us to grow our businesses, right? And it's also hard for us to lead because we want to hold on to everything, right? If you look at so let's just say like CEO of my company, Fortune 500 company. I mean, it's a worldwide global company, bajillions of, sorry, I say bajillions, right? So there's bajillions of employees worldwide. There's no way that he could manage all of those people himself. But what he did was he set sometimes, like, yeah, his level of trust was not there for certain things. He would let it go for a while, and then we'd have like safety, environmental issues, and it's like, in a refinery, those things mean money, right? If there's a safety violation, if there's environmental violations, those are fines. Sometimes very big fines. So it hits you, right? It hits you on the bottom line, right? When mirrors what's happening in our country. When you hit a company's bottom line, when you use your dollars to speak, they will take notice, and like change will happen because you're impacting their bottom line, right, through fines and such. So, and you always know stuff rolls downhill. So he, the company got hit. We had to pay fines. Head started rolling, right? Stuff started rolling downhill. And then there's more red tape, more stuff that like the people at the bottom had to do. Because yeah, I was at the bottom. Like, yes, I was managing teams and leading teams, but when we're talking about the big scheme of like a global company, and like refining was just like a tiny part of the whole company, right? And so I would say it was like maybe only 5% of of the company. So there were we had like stupid routine duties that got tacked onto us because he didn't trust that we were taking enough precautions in our day to day to stay safe. So we had like, if we had too many bike incidents, then we had to do a bike safety checklist every shift. We had, and then when we had too many motor vehicle accidents, we had to do like a car inspection. Well, we drove trucks, but we had to do a truck inspection every shift because there was a problem. And so when we're talking about the speed of trust and being trustworthy as CEOs, it goes both ways, right? Do we trust the people that work for us, and do the people who work for us trust us to make the best decisions for the company, for them, for everybody, and even as parents. So we're talking about parents and children, right? Like, let's address teenagers, because we are leading our children, right? We're moms, we're leading our children. There's this shift that starts to happen when our kids start, they trust us a lot when they're little because they don't know any better. They start getting out into the world. Their friends are telling them different things, and then they're coming home, and then our position, our stance, usually, right, has not changed. But they're coming home, their perspective is getting changed and upgraded or whatever, and they're challenging now our beliefs or whatever. Like, for me personally, my son was challenging our Christian beliefs that he had been raised with, and he had been hanging out with different people, and he was just like not even believing in God anymore. And especially with all the trauma that happened to him when he was younger, he was just like, is there even a God? If all of these things happen, then trust again, right? If all of these things happened, then where is God? Like, how can I even trust God? How can I even believe that there is a God, right? And so we used to get into these arguments about like, and even like going to church, and like, church is mandatory. Like, since when are you allowed to skip church? Like, you know what I mean? And so we got into some pretty heavy battles. I mean, there's one time where I was like, hello, like, I'm getting ready, like, I'm trying to like rush and get ready, and then I was like, come on, like church is gonna start. And for me, like when I'm late, I don't know about you, but when I'm late, like my like the tension in me just starts to rise, and I start snapping at everyone. I'm like, hello, like get ready, why are you not getting ready? It's like boom, everything escalates, right? And so he was starting to get argumentative with me. He was still in his boxers, like, or like not even ready to get out of bed. And he was like, why do I have to go to church? And he was just, we're having this theological debate, and I'm like, church starts in 10 minutes and we live 15 minutes away, so yeah, right? And it just got very heated to the point where he stood up, and then there ended up being a hole in the door because my husband tried to step in the middle, and I don't know if we were married or yet, so blended family as well. Stepped in the middle, so they were gonna throw punches or whatever, and then I just closed the door, and then, you know, fist came through the door, and there was a hole that we had to patch before we moved, you know, because we were renting the space, so right, holes had to be patched in the wall, but there were holes in hearts that had to be patched as well. And so anyway, this is more of a longer, like, personal video. It's not necessarily a training per se, but you know, these are just some of the things that I've been thinking about, some of the things that have been on my heart during this time, and I just wanted to share that with you. And so just let me know, one, has this video been helpful? So if it has been helpful, just type a 1 in the comment. Also, hashtag replay if you're watching this on the replay. And I was going to ask another question. Say, yeah, usually I have a post-it note with notes so that I remember what I want to talk about. I don't remember right now, but oh, 2. So type in a number 2 if you agree with the speed of trust. I mean, it's Franklin Covey. Like it's you know, that whole like 7 habits of effective people person, right? Stephen Covey, and then Franklin Covey has all those planners, and so it's from that school, but very patriarchal as well. And this is all about fierce feminine leadership, but I do agree with the speed of trust analogies and stuff that he uses in the book. I mean, it's a whole training set. I mean, there's even like flashcards that look like, you know, playing cards, and with all the different like I think there's 12 pillars of trust, and it's a whole thing. But just type in a number 2 if you're kind of tracking with the speed of trust, and you kind of can see where you can only grow your business as fast as the speed of trust, or change can only happen as quickly as the speed of trust, right? So the core of all of that is, do people trust us, and do we trust our people as leaders? So go with that. This is the training for this week, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. And then 3, if you feel like this one was too personal, too much storytelling or whatever, let me know as well. Because I hear that storytelling is supposed to be good to deliver content. I'm a more of like a I want to get to it kind of person when I'm watching. So let me know. Like, just type in a 3 if the reason why you don't watch these videos is because they're too long and there are too many stories in them. Okay, that's it for today. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys next week about the speed of trust. Okay, bye.